tracking, but let's now talk about all of the cues that you should really look at before we get into this fresh trading session. We have Ekta, Surbhi and Nigel all joining us now with the trade setup and all of the individual stocks that you should have on your radar as well. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Ekta, coming to you first, we ended very close to that 19,600 kind of mark. Take us through how, what the cues are looking like this morning.
Thanks for that. Well, yes, definitely, the markets did manage to build on what we saw in Friday's trading session. But we did have the Nifty bank underperforming. However, the mid-cap index rose. So it was largely a mixed session, but the Nifty and the sensex did build on those Friday gains. Now, one aspect which one needs to really monitor is now the FII flows. So the FII's net sold close to around 1,900 odd crores in yesterday's trading session. They have sold for the 8th consecutive session and have sold continuously since the 27th of July. Now, FIIs have net sold over 10,000 crores in just these past 8 sessions. So one really needs to monitor what the trend would be going forward and what the long-term impact would be. Remember, this is something that Jonathan Garner mentioned to us, speaking to us last morning, that flows and FPI flows into the Indian market is something that they would be monitoring quite closely. Now, in terms of the global markets, the US markets did snap the 4-day losing streak, so that's definitely positive. There's some strength come back in the US. CPI data on Thursday for July is estimated at around 3.3%. Asia mixed ahead of the Chinese trade data. Crude prices have come off, which is a positive. GIFT Nifty is indicating a lower start. A couple of key points to watch for: the Bank Nifty, the underperformance that we saw yesterday, the mid-cap index, which managed to outperform. Pharma stocks continue to be in focus because of a whole host of numbers that they will be reacting to, and a lot of this interest in new age stocks such as Paytm and Zomato, which we saw yesterday, probably continuing into today's trading session. Hindalco, Coal India, Siemens will be releasing numbers today. RBI policy 10th of August, Thursday, but the 3-day meet begins today, so all eyes will be focused on that as a trigger.
All right, that is a lot of cues for us to track. Ekta, thanks a lot for laying out all of those out for us. But let's also talk about the individual stocks that you should watch today. Surbhi has that entire list, and it is just earnings non-stop. Surbhi.
It is, and last leg of earnings season, so a lot of numbers coming through. Let's start with Godrej Consumer. The revenues came in at 3,450 crores, EBITDA came in at 643 crores, and margins came in at 18.6% versus a poll of 19%. Tata Chemicals, the revenues were up nearly 6%, EBITDA was up 3%, margins came in better than expected, came in at 24.7%. PB Fintech, the revenues were up 32%, and the PAT losses have reduced by 94% to just 12 crores in Q1. MedPlus, it was a strong revenue growth on a year-on-year basis. However, margins and profit were flat. Revenue was up 29% on a year-on-year basis, and margins came in at 5.6%. Gland Pharma, the numbers are better than expectations. Revenues are up 41%. Margins came in at 24% versus 32% same time last year. And lastly, Torrent Pharma, revenue and margins are pretty much in line with estimates. Profits are better than estimates. US sales has come in at $36 million, in line with the estimate of around $33 to $35 million.
All right, Surbhi, thanks a lot for taking us through that entire list of stocks. We're going to watch for all of these. Finally, it's over to Nigel. Nigel, how are things looking on the FNO side?
Well, on the FNO side of things, the FIs, they've lightened their positions both on the long as well as on the short side. The short position, though, continues at around 55%. So in the long short position is in that ratio of around 45 to around 55%. On the option side, well, they bought more calls than puts in yesterday's trading session, while on the writing side, they wrote almost an equivalent amount of puts as well as calls. Let's look at the options data then. The put writing was quite active yesterday, 19,500, 19,550. Between them, they added close to around 80 lakh shares. So there was some sense of writing on those levels, which brings us to the levels then, because if there was writing at around the 19,500 put, then you're looking at support at around 19,460 on the downside. The bulls, they'll feel good if, in fact, we can get past the 20 DMA. For the time being, it's a bit away from current levels. So that's a crucial mark that you need to look at. And on a closing basis, you'll want the Nifty to go ahead and conquer that and then maybe make a little bit of a charge towards that 20,000 odd mark. For the time being, that's around 40 points away. Now, today's the Nifty Financial Services Index expiry as well. So that becomes very, very important. The 20,000 put on the put side has the highest amount of open interest. Yesterday as well, it was fairly active. So on the Nifty bank, you're looking at around 19,950 mark. That'll be a bit of a support zone. For starters, I think the Gift Nifty was suggesting that we're likely to see some bit of red to kickstart trade. So let's see where we go from there. Back to you.
All right, let's see where we go. Nigel, thanks a lot for that. In fact, speaking of the FNO space, we do need to take a short break. But on the other side, we're going to get you some very important news because market regulator SEBI is set to review rules governing the futures and options segment. So we are tracking all of the details in just a bit.